Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive deep into the art of the professional phone call. From that very first hello all the way to the final goodbye. We're going to walk through every single step you need to handle any call with total confidence and skill. Now, I know that might sound a little dramatic, but just think about it for a second. That initial greeting, it really does set the tone for everything that follows. It can literally be the difference between a smooth, easy conversation and a really frustrating one for everybody. Those first few seconds are just so critical. So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about why those opening moments matter so much. Then we're going to go step by step through how to craft the perfect opening, how to verify information with confidence, and of course, how to handle the customer's request. We'll wrap up with how to end on a high note, and then we'll put it all together into one complete professional call flow. All right, so let's get into it. Why does starting strong matter so much? Well, it's not just about being polite. It's really about laying the foundation for the entire call. You're basically setting the stage for success before you even know what the customer is calling about. And all of these things are connected. When you have a welcoming tone, you start to build trust. And that trust makes the security checks feel less like an interrogation and more like you're just protecting them. Getting this part right from the very beginning helps prevent mistakes down the line, and ultimately, it leaves the customer with a really positive feeling, all because you started with a structured, professional approach. So, we've covered the why. Now let's get into the how. This next part is all about the practical side of things, how to craft an opening that really makes an amazing first impression. First up, the opening. And this isn't just saying hello. You got to think of it as a formal step in the call. Its job is really simple. Greet the customer and introduce yourself. That simple action immediately signals that this is going to be a professional conversation. And right after the greeting comes your introduction. This is where you tell the customer who you are. It immediately answers their first two questions. Who am I talking to and where are they calling from? A really clear statement like, "Good morning, this is Anna from Global Bank," gives them instant context and establishes your credibility right away. Of course, the words you say are only half the battle. How you say them matters just as much, if not more. A polite, professional tone makes the customer feel like you actually care, that you're a real person there to help, not just, a robot reading a script. That professional attitude really shines through in your voice. And let's be real, sometimes things are just out of your control, like a bad connection. Knowing the right way to talk about it helps a lot. A clear line means everything sounds great. If not, you might have a bad connection, or maybe there's some distracting background noise. Just being able to name the problem is the first step to fixing it professionally. Okay, once you've nailed that opening, we move into what is maybe the most critical phase, verification. This is all about making sure you're talking to the right person and protecting their private, sensitive information. And that's really the big question, isn't it? This isn't just about good service anymore. This is about security. It's about building trust. So how do we lock down that call and make sure it's safe to proceed? Well, the answer is the security question. This is your main tool for checking someone's identity. It's a question that, in theory, only the real account holder would know the answer to, like their mother's maiden name or the name of their first pet. Think of it as the gatekeeper to the account. Now here's a pro tip. The words verify and confirm. People mix them up all the time, but the difference is so important. To verify is when you ask the customer for information, like, "Could you please verify your address for me?" To confirm is when you are the one stating a fact. For example, "I can confirm your order has shipped." Getting this right makes your communication so much clearer. And, before you even get to those security questions, there's one super simple question you have to ask first. Are you the account holder? You have to make sure you're speaking to the person who actually owns the account before you do anything else. It's the first, most basic layer of security. All right, security is cleared. Now we can get to the real reason for the call, handling the customer's request. This is what it's all about, understanding what they need and finding a way to help them. To do this well, it helps to know the lingo. Is the customer making a request, like asking you to do something like change their address? Or is it an inquiry, just a question for information, like checking their balance? Figuring that out early helps you focus. And to help them, you might need a specific detail or a reference number to pull up their info. Knowing these terms just helps you get to the solution faster. So, we've greeted them, we've secured the account, and we've handled their request. But we're not done yet. The call isn't over. how you end it is just as important as how you begin, because this is your last chance to leave a really great impression. And just like the opening, the closing is a deliberate, planned part of your call. It's not just about hanging up when the problem is solved. No, it's a formal step that's designed to wrap up the conversation politely and professionally. A huge part of the closing is using a polite ending. It's so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. A simple phrase like, "Thank you for calling, have a great day," shows you appreciate their time and it ends the call on a warm, human note. It just reinforces that they were valued. Okay, we have looked at all the individual pieces of the puzzle. For this final section, let's put it all together. Let's build one seamless, professional process that you can use on every single call you take. And here it is, the entire journey all mapped out. Think of this as your master key. It starts with the greeting, then moves into security. After that, you handle the request, provide the solution, and you always finish with a polite closing. Following these 5 steps will make sure every call is consistent, professional, and successful. It's also worth mentioning that a lot of companies will have scripted lines that you absolutely have to say, maybe for legal reasons. The great thing about this call flow is that it gives you a clear structure, so it's really easy to see where those required lines can fit in naturally. And as we wrap things up, let's just come back to the one idea that holds this entire thing together: your professional attitude. This flow, these steps, you can think of them as the skeleton, but it's your attitude, your politeness, your helpfulness, your confidence. That's what brings it all to life. That's what makes it work. So, what you have now is a blueprint. This isn't just about answering the phone anymore. It's about professionally managing a conversation to create a great outcome. So the question I'll leave you with is, how are you going to use this flow to turn every simple call into a great experience? Thanks for tuning in.